Hello there, and thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. For you new folks that are just stopping by for the first time, on the left can see what I've made in dividends so far for 2024. Again, fairly new investor, just started in May, and you can see my progression through the end of this year. Now, all of December's numbers are in as far as dividends are concerned, and I made about $1,009 in those dividends. With the last weekly payments from my Roundhill funds and then my YieldMax fund of YMAX, you can see I've already been paid for my YMAX fund. That's going to be supposed to be deposited on December 30th, but I got it early. You can see at $45.57. That was my last payment of 2024. And if you add these weekly payers up just for this past week, it comes to $407 of weekly dividends, which pushed my December total to $1,009. If we look on the right over here, I am projecting to make about $1,070 conservatively for January 2025. And let's go ahead and take a look at the portfolio. Okay, with this screenshot, this is what happened on Friday, December 27th, 2024. This is my portfolio, 5 positions. I got 3 from YieldMax and 2 from Roundhill. My Roundhill funds are my biggest holdings, with the QDTE at 330 shares, the XDTE at about 170 shares. YMAX and Coney I've held just briefly, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks. And on Thursday, December 26th, I opened up a position in Misty, and you can see right there it is down a little bit, bought about 118 shares, or about $3,500 total. And with this screenshot, you can see the total gain or loss for each position since I've owned them. The Roundhill funds are the one I'm most focused on. Those are I'm considering my long-term holds right there. QDTE about $13,000, the XDTE at $8,000. Now, if you hold the Roundhill funds, you know that the last 2 distributions, for example, of QDTE and XDTE, they were, for the Qs, I believe it was 87 cents and then 80 cents. And for XDTE, it was approximately 67 cents and 60 cents. So with those distributions, and then a couple pretty deep red days, you can see I'm below my average cost. So the QDTE down 3%, the XDTE down about 2.5%. My goal is to have those at least 2 or 3% positive while spitting out those weekly dividends. And with those deep red days, or last week, I did pick up some more QDTE and some more XDTE. And basically all I did is I threw this $260 back into QDTE and this $101 back into XDTE. This got me about 7 more shares of the Q and this approximately 2 shares of the X. And I also increased my YMAX position from about 170 shares to 190 shares. So I picked about 20 shares. And just a deeper look into my Roundhill funds, I'm tracking the QDTE, and you can see my progression throughout December. First week, I had 306 shares, and I'm finishing out the month, well, now with 330 shares, but that 323 you see for December 27th, that's what I got paid in dividends. And the payment for the month, because of those big distributions, $652 for my portfolio just for the month of December. And then the XDTE from Roundhill, again, you can see my progression. The first week I had 158 shares. I built that to 167 shares. Now it's 169 because of the X dividend. But you can see for the total month of December, $267 of dividends. And on the far right, if you add up QDTE and XDTE, I made a total of $920 in dividends for December. Okay, so now let's take a look at each of my 5 positions. We'll start with the YieldMax funds, the first one being a Coney. Have 200 shares with an average cost of $15.07. You can see it got a deep red day on Friday, down 36 cents, finished at $13.79, and you can see my total loss right here of $255, or about 8.5% down. It is what it is with Coney. I'm going to let this run, or at least that's my goal. Sometimes I'm impatient, but anyway, to let this run and see if I can collect the dividends. And yeah, hope it goes back up. My second YieldMax position is Misty. It's a monthly pair, very volatile, up, down. You can see I have 118 shares with an average cost of $29.91. I really wanted to be below $30. I'm reopening this position. I've owned it in the past. I made good money in the September, October range of 2024, doing a lot of profit ripping. I hope to repeat that in the future here and just add to Misty while it is going down. So again, the underlier is Mr. or MicroStrategies, which follows Bitcoin. So wherever that goes, Misty follows. And while I was watching Misty yesterday, it did get down to like $28.92. I should have pulled the trigger then when I bought another $1,000 worth, but I did buy $1,000 worth at $29.48, which did lower my cost below that $30 marker. My last YieldMax position right now is YMAX. That's the weekly pair. You can see I now have 190 shares and an average cost of $18.31. Finished the day 24 cents down at $17.30. And now to the Roundhill funds, XDTE. I have about 170 shares and an average cost of $51.93, down big time at 48 cents, finishing the day at $50.66. Again, I'm down $215, but I think it's going to recover and recover quickly, or down about 2.45%. I want to be at least positive 2 to 3% while getting those dividends, because this is one of my core holdings. And my other core holding is the QDTE. Again, now I have 330 shares, an average cost of $42.08. It got hit pretty hard yesterday, down 53 cents, finishing at $40.70. And again, I'd like to see the QDTE up 2 to 3% while giving me those dividends. So I'm down $456, and hopefully it recovers. If not, I'll have to rethink the Roundhill positions, but right now I don't need to worry about it. Now, just looking forward to January 2025, I'm projecting $1,070 in dividends. How am I going to get there? Well, this is what I'm guessing so far. The QDTE, I think for the month, I'm hoping for QDTE and XDTE, it's going to pay out 90 cents for the month. Coney, I just plugged in $1.25 for the next dividend payment. Misty, $2, and then YMAX, I'm hoping for 70 cents for the month of January. If all those come to fruition, I get about $1,070. And this capital required does jive with my account. And speaking of my account, here is the desktop screenshot view of my portfolio from Fidelity. You can see I'm down 3.58%, or about $1,200 down here. Again, the goal for those Roundhill funds of the Q and the X, I want them to be plus or minus 2 or 3%, but I'd like them to be about positive 2 or 3%. And then the overall goal for the portfolio is just to have this at 0%, because Misty's volatile, Coney's volatile, and YMAX should be a little bit more stable. But if I can have the overall portfolio just flat while spitting out total dividends, I'll be good to go. And jumping back to this screenshot, the total gain or loss for each position, but I'm looking at the dollar value for each of these 5 positions. If we were to add up those dollar values, we would get $31,577. This net debit up here on the top left, or if you look here, it's at about $11,000. That's how much margin I'm using with Fidelity, some leverage. If I were to liquidate all 5 positions, Fidelity is going to get their $10,950 back, and I'd be left with $20,627. And you can see right here, this negative $456. That's what happened to my portfolio on Friday, December 27th, down about 2%. And if you look at my little graph, you can see I opened up this Fidelity account in mid-April, April 15th, and you can see my progression, regression, whatever you want to call it, through the end of this year. And as a new investor, it's been a pretty good learning experience. Again, opened up April of 2024. I've gained some profit, but I've also taken some losses. So I've learned a lot, and hopefully I can be more positive than negative in 2025 and just be smarter at what I'm doing with this portfolio, because in the end, it's a long game for me. Years and years down the road, I want to increase my monthly dividend. I love passive income where I don't have to do anything, because one day I won't be able to go to work anymore. It'd be nice just to have a little extra income to live off of. But anyway, folks, thanks for stopping by. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.